Hey guys, welcome back for today's video where I want to talk about my recommendations for these different live TV streaming services, which ones that I feel are better value for what you're getting, but I'll also lay out an argument that you could make in terms of subscribing to any of these services, because I don't think out of all these 5 competitors, one stands out above the rest clear cut. It's just going to kind of depend on your own personal situation, but I've used every single one of these services, and the great thing is you don't need to feel pressure to make the right decision, kind of like you need to with cable or satellite TV, because there's such a process of setting all of that up, signing long-term contracts. You want to be in a situation where you know what you're getting into with the traditional way of getting live TV, but with these different offerings, all of them have free trial periods, so you can make a decision and think that it's the best option for you. You can work your way through that trial period and decide, hey, this isn't for me. You can cancel your subscription. They won't charge you, and then you can go on and try the next one. So it's not like you're deeply committed to any of these different services. Whichever one offers the best for you for the price, you should be able to figure it out if you are willing to go through and then try out all of these services. But in this video, like I said, I want to make an argument for each of these different competitors and why you might choose them over the rest. This is going to be a little bit different than my previous video where I went through and specifically laid out all the differences, or at least major differences, between these competitors, going through this graphic that I put together here that you're seeing on the screen. So if you want to check that video out, I'll link it down in the description of this video. But again, this is just going to be more of a general comparison and laying out an argument of why you might want to get any of these different options. So starting off here with YouTube TV, their clear advantage over the rest of the competition is the fact that they have unlimited storage through their DVR options, and you can keep those recordings for up to 9 months. Also, in general, they do a pretty good job with the local channels. The downside is they're not available nationwide, and there's not a whole lot in terms of adding on different channels. There's just that one base price of $40 a month, and you get what you get. There's no tiers above that you can add on like a whole group of channels. So it's limited in that sense. So if you're somebody who puts a large value on being able to DVR a ton of different programming, then YouTube TV might be for you. Also, in terms of the interface that they have, it's pretty solid. And also just the simplicity of it is also something I give them credit for. It's pretty easy to understand and straightforward. Now, moving on to Sling TV. If you're somebody who's looking for your cheapest option to get your local regional sports network, then Sling TV is going to be the way to go. If you don't really care about other channels other than that regional sports network, you can get it for $25 a month in the Sling Blue package. However, the downside with Sling is if you're somebody who wants a large array of channels, you start adding on these different bundle options, and all of a sudden Sling TV starts to become pretty pricey at the end of the day. So if you're really content with that $25 a month package with either Sling Orange or Sling Blue, then you're getting a pretty good value for what you're putting in. And then also, if you're just bundling Sling Blue and Orange together for $40 a month, you're getting 4 total streams and a pretty solid array of channels to choose from. So that's where Sling TV does well. Where they don't do as well is with the DVR. So kind of the opposite of YouTube TV. It's not available in the base package. You have to add on an extra $5 a month for the DVR, and then it is pretty limited in what you get. It's limited at 50 hours of storage for that extra $5 a month. Now, moving on to DirecTV Now. Personally, this is probably the package that I would go to in terms of what you're getting for the price, and also the fact that if you're an AT&T customer, there's a lot of tie-ins in terms of saving with DirecTV Now. Also, you can get a tremendous deal on HBO and other premium options that you just simply can't get at these other services. And nobody does better than DirecTV Now in terms of all of the channels that you can get access to. Basically, every single popular channel you can get with DirecTV Now, just depending on which tier package that you get. And there's a lot of exclusions with these other services. So if you're somebody who wants a strong assortment of popular channels, that's also where DirecTV Now does very well. Now, the downside to them is the base package, you only get 2 streams, which is maybe a little bit worse than the competition here. YouTube TV has 3. Sling has up to 4 if you bundle together. PlayStation View's at 5. Hulu's also at 2. So it's kind of on the lower end in that sense, but you can add an additional stream for an extra $5 a month, so you can get it up to 3. Also, DirecTV Now doesn't do as well as their competition, particularly PlayStation Vue, as well as YouTube TV in terms of their DVR options. So if you're somebody who puts a ton of importance on DVR, that's also something where DirecTV Now is trying to play catch up with their competition. So now moving on to PlayStation Vue, and I think it was 1 or 2 years ago, but once these streaming services that offered live TV were becoming more popular, I really liked PlayStation Vue's offering because it was really cheap. I believe their base package was $30 a month, and that came with the 5 streams that you could have inside your home, and they offered a pretty good assortment of channels, but they've been adding channels. Also, they really went in to get those local channels, and a lot of these efforts on PlayStation's Vue part has bumped up that base package all the way up to $45 a month, which is now the most expensive, cheapest plan that you can get. And also, PlayStation Vue, in comparison to their competition, doesn't really do all that well in terms of the popular cable channels that you can get access to. There's a number of exclusions, and for how much you have to pay for some of their different tier packages, the fact that they don't offer quite as good of an assortment of channels is also a downside. But the positives to PlayStation Vue, if you're a PlayStation customer, you can have solid integration with your PS4 console or PS3 console, for instance. And also with that base package having 5 streams, that's also a difference maker. So if you're willing to give up a little bit of the channel variety to get more streams within your house, then that's also something to keep in mind. And they've really improved their DVR capabilities to where it's some of the better options in that sense as well. So there is some positives out of PlayStation Vue, but for me personally, I don't think that at this point they're quite as good as the competition offerings for the price. And now moving on to Hulu with live TV. If you're somebody who already has a Hulu subscription, for an extra about $30 or so a month, you can get access to a lot of live television channels, which is a pretty good option. So if you have a Hulu subscription and you want to get one of these other packages, it's going to be more at the end of the day because you're kind of bundling that Hulu, which is, I believe it's like $8 a month or something just for the base Hulu option, but you're kind of bundling that in with your live TV offerings, which is allowing you to save a little bit of money in that sense. So that's one argument to make for Hulu with live TV. The downside here is, again, they don't have a great assortment of channels. Also, just one option, you can't increase the tier of your package to get more channels added on. You just get what you get for that $40 a month. And there are limitations in terms of not having a very strong assortment of the popular channels. They do have a good amount, but not an overwhelming amount of those top 50 most popular channels. So also with Hulu, they do give you some extra options to add on streams as well as add on DVR, but that can make things start to get a little bit pricey once you add on those options as well. So Hulu is also one of those that I kind of put more towards the bottom of my list, maybe one step above PlayStation Vue. The thing that I like about Hulu is you do get that base Hulu content as part of your subscription, which is pretty nice. It's basically like almost like adding a Netflix on top of your live TV subscription. But other than that, it is limited in other senses, so I put it a little bit lower on my list personally. So in terms of my personal list, I'd probably go DirecTV Now first, Sling TV 2, YouTube TV 3, Hulu with Live TV 4, and PlayStation Vue 5, about maybe in that order. And again, like I said, you can make an argument to go with any of these services based on your own personal situation and what you put more value on. So that's pretty much going to wrap up this video, guys. I hope it was helpful. Thanks for stopping on in. Hope to see you back here for future videos, and subscribe for more.